Hello everyone, welcome to the course introductory video for Religion 1010 in the fall semester of 2021. I'm Dr. Christian Haunton. I'm going to be your instructor for this course, and in this video I'm going to go over what I hope should be everything you need to know to get what you need to out of the class. Before you go any further with this, I do recommend you get yourself a copy of the syllabus. You should be able to find that on Canvas, which is the same place you should have found the link to this video. You can download it, you can print it, you can just pull it up in a window, whatever suits you best, but somewhere where you can follow along and maybe make marks if you want to notate anything that you need to do as we go along. The syllabus isn't the only thing I'm going to go over in this video, but it is certainly the roadmap for the vast majority of the video. So take a moment to do that if you haven't already, and then let's proceed. Starting at the top of this syllabus is some pretty familiar information that you already clearly have. Religion 1010, Fall 2021, Dr. Christian Haunton. The next thing you need to know is how to reach me, and that is email. Pretty standard chaunton@unomaha.edu email. That is effectively the only way to get a hold of me. I don't maintain an office on campus, so you can't come visit during office hours. I don't have a phone on campus, so if you call the religious studies office, they'll just send me an email telling me that you called. So, pardon me, the email is certainly the way that you want to go for any kind of communications with me. I try to get back within 24 hours, and that like business hours. So if you email me last thing on a Friday, you might not hear from me until midday on a Monday, but obviously all the emails are timestamped, so I know when you reached out, and I won't let you get caught by a late email or something like that if I can possibly help it. All the cutoffs and deadlines, which we'll talk about later, are midweek, so you shouldn't run into any weekend issues. But if you don't hear from me in the evening or you don't hear from me during the weekend, don't worry. If you haven't heard from me for more than 24 hours of the work week, check with me again to be sure I haven't lost your email somewhere along the way. Next up is a course description. I'm going to skip over that for now because that's something you saw in the course catalog when you enrolled for this. Presumably you have some sense of what the course is about, but I will go over the course objectives because those are specific to this version of 1010 that we're doing together here. So it reads, by the end of the semester, students will be able to describe how the historical and cultural backgrounds of several of the world's living religious traditions, as well as how those traditions express themselves in the 21st century. Students will be able to discuss some of the difficulties involved with the study of religion, such as issues of definition, the insider-outsider dilemma, and the role of belief. One important takeaway from that little paragraph there is that we're going to study living religions in this course, and that means religions that are practiced by people today around the world, which is a bit of a limitation because it means we won't talk about a lot of interesting things like ancient Egyptian religion, ancient Roman religion, things like that. We're going to be talking about things that some people still practice today, even if it's small groups in some cases. And in the interest of studying living religions, we're going to use a textbook called Living Religions. This is Living Religions 9th edition. This is the one with the child with the hands in prayer in front of him. That's the one you want. That's not the most recent edition. There's at least a 10th edition. There may be one after that already. I choose 9th edition because it's a lot easier to get cheap. So if you don't have a copy of it already, get one online. Just go to Amazon or any other online bookseller. I'm sure you're going to be able to find copies of it for fairly reasonable prices. Obviously, the university bookstore should have a supply big enough for everyone in the class, so you can also just get it there. But it shouldn't be a hard book to find. However, you're definitely going to need a copy of it this semester. It's going to be the roadmap for everything we do throughout the semester. We're going to take it from the beginning to the end, chapter by chapter, in order, and that's just going to be how we organize the course. So be sure you do have a copy of it. You'll also need it for the vocabulary that we deal with in the course, which I'll get into in more detail as we go on. If you want, in the syllabus, you have the title, you have the author, Mary Pat Fisher, and you also have the ISBN number. And that's just in case you're unsure about editions or whatever, just type in that ISBN number. It will get you exactly the book that you need. Also, I think there are some like digital, you can get one with a CD in the back, as if anybody's using CD anymore. You can get some with digital option. We don't use any of that. You just need to have access to the words in the book. That's all you're going to need. So plan accordingly. Again, that's because you can get them cheaper online if they don't have the digital stuff. And that's my overall goal, is that this not cost you a ton of money to read. The grading for the course is up next on the front page of the syllabus, and it is very straightforward. There are 400 points in this course. 1 exam, 2 exam, 3 exams, they're each worth 100 points. 10 quizzes, they're each worth 10 points. So 100, 200, 300, and then another 100 for the 10-point quizzes. That's it. No papers, no discussion, no online message boards. There's 3 exams and 10 quizzes, and that's the extent of the course. This will be good news for some of you, bad news for others. If you like multiple choice and objective type of questions, that's what you're going to get in this course. If you like writing papers, you like essays, things like that, there's none of that in this course. So plan accordingly if that's a big concern for you. The dates of the exams are given on this front page, but that's only the cutoff date after which you cannot get full points for them. You'll have a long opportunity to do each exam and each quiz, which I'll go over in more detail on the next page. So that's the entirety of the course. I'm going to give you a heads up right now. There won't be extra credit in the course. I mean, conceivably there could be if something catastrophic happens, but there's never been a need to have extra credit in the course. It is a very manageable course. So if you are someone who counts on extra credit regularly, just have a heads up from the beginning that there won't be an opportunity for that here. I think most of you, as long as you're following along and doing what I'm suggesting, you're not going to have a lot of difficulty getting the grade you want, though. Next up, speaking of grades, is the grading scale at the bottom of the page. I give it to you in 2 different formats. The upper format is the more important one. This is the end-all be-all. At the end of the semester, if you want to have grade X, you need to have points Y. So if you want to have a C, you need to have 296 points or more. If you have 295, you'll have a C minus. If you have 296, you'll have a C. And you can see that for any of the possible grades here throughout the range from A+ all the way down. Now, I give them to you in points because that's ultimately what you need to worry about at the end of the semester. However, obviously there's other times you're going to want to be aware of your grade. So I also give them to you in percentages underneath. Say you're halfway through the course and you just want to kind of get a feel for where you are. You can work out your percentage and see, oh, I'm at a B+, or oh, I'm at a C-, or whatever. And by the way, always just feel free to email me if you want to know something about your grade and you're not sure how to calculate it. Just ask me. I'll tell you what your grade is. I'll tell you how many points you need to get a particular grade, any of that kind of stuff. Feel free to always reach out to me. I'm absolutely happy to help with things like that. All right, flipping to the next page. This is where we break down how this course works. So you've already seen this presumably when you enrolled for the course, but this is a completely online course. It is completely asynchronous. You're doing this all on your own time within certain parameters, which I'll go over. We're never going to meet face-to-face. No class ever gathers at any point during the semester or anything like that. You won't be interacting with each other online or anything like that. But this is how it works. And I'm just going to start by reading here, and then I'll go into specifics as we need to. The course is divided into 3 units given over about 15 weeks. Each unit will cover 4 or 5 chapters from the book. Your work will be partially self-paced in that you'll be able to work ahead if you want to, but you won't be able to fall behind without losing points. Each unit will have several elements as follows. Reading assignments, straightforward. There's a list of them on the next page. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Number 2, online materials. That's just what we're doing right now. YouTube videos of you watching my face talk to you in front of this desk right here and telling you different things about the subject of each of the topics we're dealing with. These will be basically the same thing as you would have in a lecture hall. If you came to a lecture hall, it's me saying those things to a camera instead of me saying those things to a room full of people. So that's what that online materials refers to. If you found this video, you know where to find the videos for that. They're all going to be under this RELI 1010 YouTube channel. You can follow the link you used to get this. You'll only have access to the videos that are relevant for the particular part of the course that you're in, so you can always just go to that link, look through the videos, and see what you're responsible for. And then 3, there will be vocabulary quizzes, as I kind of suggested earlier. These are timed 6-minute quizzes, 10 questions each, and they'll be given over the vocabulary terms from the chapter. Now, 2 important things to go over there. First one I'm going to go over is the vocabulary from the chapter. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that at the end of every chapter of this book, there is a section labeled key terms. So I'm on, well, it doesn't matter. I need to hold this up. You know how books work. I'm on page 118. It's the key terms for Hinduism. Now, the quizzes will be multiple choice. They will have a definition, and then they will have 4 words. So I might pick out chakra, And then you would have four things: an occupational category, A; a subtle energy center of the body, B; visual contact with the divine, C; or a deity, D. And if you say B, a subtle energy center of the body, you get the points. If you say anything else, you don't get the points. And it's that simple. The point of these quizzes is that they are simple. You will literally know which questions and which possible answers are going to be on it. You just won't know which 10 of them I've selected. So you'll always know what chapters it's going to be over. It will be in the title of the quiz. It's typically 2 chapters chunked together. So there'll be a quiz over chapters 1 and 2, and then a quiz over chapter 2 and 3, and so forth. So you can always see what list I'm drawing from, and then there's going to be 10 words picked at random, not at random, but 10 definitions given to you, I should say, and you need to match them to the correct definition. These are not supposed to be tricky. These are not supposed to be confusing. These are supposed to be as straightforward as possible. It is really hard to talk about religion without using specialized vocabulary. Every tradition has its own special words and language that it uses for meanings, and they're often subtly different from very similar concepts in other religions. And so we put a little extra weight on vocabulary in this course, more so than I might if we were doing something else like anthropology or something. So those are a quarter of your grade, right? 25% of your grade. You know right now where the answers and the questions come from. You just don't know which ones you're going to be quizzed on at any given time. The other thing I mentioned when I talked about the vocabulary quizzes is that they are timed. And that's true of everything in this course. The quizzes are 6 minutes. And that's for 10 questions. The exams are 30 minutes, and that's for 50 questions, which is the exact same rate, just more questions. That is something that can hang some students up. I am very, very confident that most students will have no difficulty with this, just based on years of experience of this and what I can see when I look at class trends as a total. But if you're someone who knows right now that you have difficulty with timed quizzes or timed exams, you may want to consider that this may not be the best version of this course for you. There's a lot of Religion 1010 versions out there, and this one has timed exams and quizzes, and they're relatively quickly timed. If you're concerned about that, there's one thing I would suggest. I've made a practice quiz available on Canvas. Pardon me. And you can take that. It's 10 questions in 6 minutes. They're just kind of, some of them are fun questions. Some of them are just sort of nonsense general, or not general, but nonsense religion sorts of specific questions that won't come up in the course. But they're just to give you a feel of what it feels like to answer 10 questions in 6 minutes, and see if that's something that's going to stress you out too much for you to want to continue with the course. And that practice quiz, it isn't worth any points. You can take it 100 times if you want to. It's just there for anyone who wants to take a look at it. I'd also recommend it if you haven't taken quizzes on Canvas before. It's a quick and easy way for you to just see how the mechanics of that work, and see how it tracks your time and makes you aware of how much time you have left, and those sorts of things before there's any points at stake. So use that if you want to as a resource, or leave it there if you're not interested. Either's fine. Continuing on how the course works, it goes on to say all of these elements will be provided on Canvas and YouTube at the beginning of each new unit. You'll then have about 5 weeks to complete the material for that unit. Specific due dates are on the next page. And I'll read the next paragraph before I get into that, but I do want to explain that in more detail. Finally, it says there will also be 3 exams given, 1 for each unit. Each exam will need to be completed within the 5-week period for that unit. The exams will be multiple choice and cover vocabulary and general content questions from the chapter readings and lecture videos for that unit. The exams will have a tight time limit of 50 questions in 30 minutes. I think you can kind of understand, deduce from what I said there, but just explicitly, these are not cumulative exams. So the first 5 weeks will cover those chapters. There'll be an exam that talks about those. Then the next 5 weeks, whole new material, whole new exam. It only covers that second 5-week period. So don't worry about the exams building up more and more material as you go. They'll just be testing everything you've worked on since the last exam. And that's true of the final exam too. They're all the same. Again, these are all multiple choice questions. There's some true false in there, but they're all A, B, C, D, fill in the bubble kind of questions. So they're not meant to be tricky. I guess the true and false are kind of tricky in that the false ones, there's something wrong in each of them. But they're not meant to be challenging beyond just have you read the chapter and have you listened to the lectures and have you taken the time to understand those materials. That's all we're trying to work on for this course. In terms of the units, just to explain them one more time, because I know that not all courses are arranged this way by any means. We're going to, well, maybe this is a good time to switch pages. In fact, the rest of the things that are on this second page, it's the course assignments, the exams, the vocabulary quizzes, what we're doing, why we're doing it. You can read that in your own time. If you flip to the next page, you'll see that it has the 3 units broken down. So this is what I mean by units. A unit is just a term meaning the first third, the second third, and the third third of the course are each presented to you at once. So that means today there's no material. Well, I'm assuming you're watching this on a Monday, but if you're not, whatever. But if it's Monday, if it's the first day of classes, there's nothing available for you on YouTube besides this. There's no quizzes, there's no exam. But on Wednesday, I'm going to put all of Unit 1 up. All of the videos will go up, all of the quizzes will go up, and the exam will go up. And you can take them Wednesday afternoon if you want to. It's probably not a great idea because it probably means you won't have had time to do the materials, but if you want to, you take them Wednesday afternoon and you are done until September 30th. Or you can take them a little at a time between now and the end of the unit. And that's what the suggested dates over here on this third page are about. If you want to take the course as slowly as you can pace it out a week at a time, basically 1 week per chapter, more or less, of the book. And that'll be fine. You'll complete the course, you'll be done when the semester's over, and that's great. However, you're always welcome to work ahead within each unit. So if you want to do all the Unit 1 materials as fast as you can, that's great. But then you'll have to wait until we get a third of the way into the semester before all the Unit 2 materials become available. Then you do them as fast as you want, and you'll have to wait on the Unit 3 materials, and then you can finish the course as soon as you want to. However, you can't do the opposite. You can't wait till the end of the unit to do everything all at once, just because that is a way to encourage screwing up your grade. So the way that it works is that every single thing, every quiz and exam, has a cutoff date after which you won't be able to earn full points. So for example, quiz 1 needs to be completed before September 8th. You can complete it on the 7th, the 6th, the 5th, the 4th, any of these dates you want to. If you try to complete it on the 9th, it's not going to be there to take. There's not going to be a quiz available. And that goes for every quiz. And all of these dates are spelled out on here, including the exact time that the quiz goes down and all of that. So use that for your reference when you need to look at that. It'll also be on Canvas in the announcement for each of the units. Like I'll put up an announcement that says Unit 1 materials are available, and I'll reprint all the cutoff dates. Now, here's what I'm going to beg you to do, and I know some of you won't listen, but don't put these off until the cutoff dates. I'll go into more detail about why that's such an easy way to screw up when we get into it a little later. But there's only really 2 problems I see students have in this course. One of them is students who are really in their own heads or freaked out about the time limits on the quizzes and exams. That can be challenging for some students. The other is students who wait until the last minute to take the quizzes and exams and then somehow aren't able to do it and shoot themselves in the foot for that. So I'll go into it in more detail in just a moment here, but this is my first attempt to convince you, don't do that. You'll save yourself pain if you avoid putting things off. Pretend the time limits are a week earlier than they are, or pretend they're a month earlier than they are. I don't care. But just don't put them off till the end. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, I don't think there's any surprises here. I guess one thing worth pointing out before we switch to the next page, over on this column here, I have the readings, and it's just Chapter 1 for the first chapter, Chapter 2 for the second chapter. That's obvious, but I also included the page numbers, how not this page to this page, but how many total pages in each chapter. And I did that because there's a big variation. So the shortest is 13 pages, the longest is 78 pages. So I just don't want you to think, oh, it takes me about 3 hours to read a chapter, and then you find out, oh God, this one's gonna take me 9 hours or something like that. So don't let that sneak up on you. Keep an eye on that there, or just look at the chapters yourself in the book. But I put it here so it's a little bit more convenient. All right, let us go to the next page, which includes policies. The 2 at the top, I'll go into some in some detail, and then we'll speed up with some of the ones at the bottom. So the first one says you must complete all quizzes and exams before their deadline in order to receive full credit. No opportunity to earn full credit will be available after the deadline is passed. And you can see it's bold and it's underlined and it's all in caps, which means that I've had problems with this over the years, obviously. Somebody is going to believe that this doesn't apply to them, but it definitely applies to you. If you are in an international plane crash on the day that the quiz was due and you are the lone survivor and you are on the cover of every newspaper in the world, you still don't get full credit because you had weeks to get it done and you didn't put it off. You didn't do it. You put it off till the last day and then something happened. So please be aware, this does apply. This does applies to everybody. Don't put things off until the last day. And I go into some detail. I'll read it here just for the sake of completion, but the good news is that because of the nature of this course, you'll never be required to do any specific thing at any specific time. You will always be given a window of time and allowed to view lectures or take quizzes and exams whenever you like within that window. The bad news is that after the window closes, you will not be given an additional opportunity to earn full credit. If you are prone to procrastination or just unlucky, be extra careful to get your work done on time. And then again, bold and underlined, do not put off quizzes and exams until the last day. There's a line under here which you must probably be guessing is coming because I keep saying you won't be able to do this for full credit. So there must be a less than full credit option, and that is indeed correct. If you fail to complete a quiz or exam before the deadline, you'll have an opportunity to make it up for half credit at the very end of the semester. So during the last week of the semester, everybody who's missed a quiz or an exam gets a chance to make it up for half credit. But please be aware, half credit means that if you get a perfect score, that's an F, right? If you get 100% correct, you get 50 points out of 100. So it's no good. It's a bad thing if you end up with any of those, but at least it won't sink you if you miss a quiz here and there. You can make them up for some of the points, and you'll still be able to recover somewhat. But please be mindful of that. And then there's a section here which at this point, you guys probably have so much experience with remote learning. There's no point in even having a paragraph like this anymore, but it just says a word about computers. Successfully completing this course will require regular access to a dependable computer and reliable internet access. This may be your home, on campus, or your phone. Please be aware that even the best equipment can fail you at a crucial moment, so I strongly advise you to, first of all, allow yourself enough time to handle unexpected problems. Don't wait until the last day. And also to have a plan B in place if things go wrong with any part of your system. So if you have a laptop you're doing this on, know what you're going to do if that laptop gets stolen or bricks or it just doesn't work for some reason. Know what you're going to do if your home Wi-Fi doesn't work, or if if the library where you usually do things is closed or something. Know what you're going to do next if something goes wrong. And then it says, for better or for worse, you are responsible for the performance of the computers and internet connections that you use for this course. So just be sure you have something reliable that will get you through. And it's another reason, it's obvious why I'm saying don't put things off until the last day. If you fire up your computer and it just clicks out, or you fire up your computer and you realize, oh, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no internet in my part of the city for 36 hours, there's an outage, then there's no problem if you can wait 48 hours and take the quiz again. But there is a problem if you've only got 6 more hours until the quiz is due, then you're screwed. So don't get yourself in that situation. Always give yourself time so that if something goes wrong, you have backup. Also, there's a little sentence in here, and it is a pretty crucial one. Before you take a quiz or exam, make sure that no other tabs or windows are open and that all other programs are shut down. There are a few hiccups with Canvas, but they're almost always because something else is running on your computer. Canvas is set up so that if you try to use other programs while Canvas is doing a quiz or exam, it just locks you out. And so make sure you don't have other programs running. Make sure you have one browser running with one tab open on that browser, and then take the quiz and then go back to doing what you're normally doing. And that will prevent 99% of problems. That will prevent everything except basically power outages and internet outages and things like that. There's a section here on modifications for student accessibility. If you have any accessibility issues you think you might need accommodations for, please be sure I have that paperwork from the accommodations department. If you know of something, doesn't have to be a specific accommodation issue, but you know something is coming up, you're going to be having a baby this semester, you're going to be getting deployed this semester, something like that. Let me know now. Let me know at the beginning of the semester. There are quite a few things we can do ahead of time and almost nothing we can do after the fact. So please let me know if there's anything you think will cause a hiccup for you taking the course, and I'll do everything I can to accommodate it ahead of time. Academic misconduct and student conduct are both on here because you put them on every syllabus, but the reality is we don't, we're not meeting in class, so nobody's going to be disruptive. Nobody has to be respectful of other students' ideas or things like that. We're not interacting with each other that much, so don't cheat. I guess that's a rule. Don't cheat. You probably knew that rule already. And that's about it for this syllabus. There's a page on the back that has general education outcomes. That's relevant to you if you were using this as a gen ed fulfillment. That will keep you abreast of what you need for that information. But otherwise, that's it for the syllabus. So I want to go over, before we start talking about other tools that we use in this course, do be aware the course has timed stuff. Take the practice quiz if you're worried about that. Consider another version of the course if you're very worried about that. And do be aware that you will have to be self-paced and avoid putting these things off to the last day or risk some real problems as the course goes on. So stay on top of those two things. You're going to be fine in this course. The other tools that we use are really self-explanatory. In fact, they almost don't bear mentioning, but just in case, I want to be sure I say. Tool number one, we're going to be using YouTube. Obviously, you figured out how that works. This is the channel. The videos are going to be here. If you ever have trouble finding them, let me know. Do remember that only the Unit 1 videos will appear, and they will all remain up for the entire time that Unit 1 is up, and then one day they'll go away, and then the Unit 2 materials will appear, and then they'll be up for whatever it is, 5 weeks or so, and then they'll disappear. So do be aware of that if you are in a situation where you try to work ahead, or if you want to refer back to something from an earlier unit, be aware that the videos won't be there once the unit's over. We also obviously are going to be using Canvas this semester. If you have been at the university, you already know Canvas from other courses, I'm sure. But if this is your first semester here, Canvas is the standard software that the university uses for online course implementation, and that's where you will find your syllabus, as you obviously have. That's where you'll find announcements from me, which you obviously have. But that's also where your grades will be, and that's also where I will be sending you emails, and that's the last thing I guess we need to talk about. So when I send out a blast email to all the students, I go through Canvas and just say, email everybody. So that means if you are not checking the email address that Canvas has for you, you won't get that email. And Canvas will default to your UNO email, but you can change it to anything else you want to. So if you prefer to use Gmail or you prefer to use something else, you can go into your Canvas settings and set it however you want. But be aware that whatever email you set up on Canvas is the one that I will use to communicate with you. So stay on top of that account. And that's the last piece of software, whatever you want to call it, tool, I guess, that we use is email. You can reach me through it. I will communicate with you whenever there's changes. I mean, it's, we're not going to have snow days or anything like that. So there's not much I need to communicate with you guys. I'll send you an email when Unit 1 comes out. I'll send you an email when Unit 2 comes out, stuff like that. I'll send you an email if you have half-credit quizzes to make up at the end of the semester. And then you can obviously email me with any questions you have. However, I want to add something now. Would you please, well, you don't have to, but if you're smart, would you please send me an email that says that you finished the video? You can just send the word finished, or you can say, I finished the video, or whatever you want. But just a little email that lets me know you got to this point, and then that way I can see, A, who's finished the video, but also that everybody's emails are up and working and nobody's got a weird glitch somewhere in the university system, especially for new students. So take a moment now, and then the trade-off is at the end of the semester, if you send me that email, we'll say before the first quiz. So the first quiz needs to be complete by September 8th. So as long as you send me that email before September 8th, at the very end of the semester, I'll raise your course grade by 1%, so 4 points. So if you have, if you're right on the cusp of an A-, it'll push you up to maybe an A or whatever. It'll go up 1%, whatever that means for your particular grade at the end of the semester. So there you go. I said there was going to be no extra credit, and then it turns out I was lying. Right at the very beginning of the semester is the only extra credit you're going to get. So do send me an email. Let me know you finished the video. If you have any other questions, email me, of course. I want to just generally say I intend this to be a relatively low stress course. There's a lot of stuff you're going to be introduced to that I don't think you'll know what you've known about already. So I think it's going to be a very interesting course for most of you. I obviously think religion is an incredibly interesting subject, or I wouldn't be teaching something like this. But I think you will find a lot of interesting things in this course, and I am much more interested, I'm using the word interested too much, I'm much more concerned with introducing you to those interesting concepts than going deep into your understanding. I want you to know a bunch of things that you didn't know at the beginning of the semester when the course ends, but that's really my main goal. So everything is very straightforward in this course. I hope that you find it to be one of your less stressful courses. Obviously, every student learns differently. I can't promise that, but that's my intention going into it. So stay on top of those deadlines. Don't put things off until the last day. Make sure you're comfortable with timed quizzes and exams. And I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the semester. I hope the semester treats you well in all the ways that it can. And I hope that we have opportunities to communicate if we need to, or that you just sail smoothly through if we don't. At any rate, that's it for the course introduction. You'll see my face, a younger version of my face, in the course videos. But otherwise, I will contact you in email, and you feel free to do the same. Thanks for your time. See you soon.